Good morning to all my students. Today I am going to deliver a very important lecture for my students of political science first semester, and the title of my lecture is going to be Rousseau's point of view on inequality. Rousseau is actually discussing the point of inequality in a very historical narrative, and where he is saying that man was essentially happy in state of nature. So when he's talking about the state of nature condition of human beings, that the human beings were quite happy in the state of nature. They were good. The man was a noble sage, and but what happened? By the passage of time, what we have seen, that the human beings were driven by two important principles. One was pity, and the second was self-preservation. That men, they wanted to dominate over others in order to preserve and secure its power and interests, whereas they want to pity for others. uh, then by the passage of time, what he said, that before going to that point of view, let me just also tell you that Rousseau wanted to clarify it. He wanted to illustrate it, that the unrealized, the in state of nature, what was the condition? The human beings were unrealized perfectibility, uh, you know. Which separates him from beasts. Okay, so the human beings, they were perfect human beings, and this is something, that they were rational human beings, and they were perfect in terms of their understanding, their reason, their rationality, their sense experience, and which is something which actually makes them different from the animal kingdom or from the beasts. And then by the passage of time, the Rousseau says that when he's talking about the amor propria means that once when somebody is interested to talk about his self desire, and he's interested to create a pity, and he wants pity for others. Okay, and that is something, when man started thinking about his self desire, about his power, about his interests, and he wanted to dominate over others, then what has happened, that and that creates a lot of problem in the society. And according to Rousseau, that what we have seen, this amour propre has created more complex human society. And when the concept of private property has emerged in the human society, and so as well as the concept of labor, the division of labor, the concept of property, and civil society, which has emerged in our society, and that has really divided brother from brother, and that has entered like a serpent in a society, and and uh, it created inequality. The What are the reasons behind the origin of inequality is actually the amour propre, that means one's self desire, and as well as pity for others, and then also more complex human society. Then also the private property, once the private property was emerged, and once human beings, they started talking in terms of mine and thine, and then the concept of labor was divided among human beings, among individuals, or in other words, the division of labor created the strata of rich and poor, the compartments of rich and poor, and in other words, it created a master and slave relationship, and that then finally, what has happened, the legitimate authority or legitimate power was changed or was transformed in terms of arbitrary power. Okay, and therefore the Rousseau says that when it comes to the this master versus slave, or this division of labor and private property, and many other things, then he said it is unjusticiable. It is unjusticiable, or it is unacceptable forms of inequality. And finally he said these inequalities must be contested. They must be contested. And therefore where actually he leads towards towards the Marxian idea, where actually he is also talking about the workers and the capitalist class, working class and capitalist class, and where workers they cannot live a good life in a capitalist society. And therefore he tells them, he told them, he gave a clarion call to them: "O workers of the world, you have nothing to lose but your chance. Get united and wage a war against these operations and this capitalist system." And because that's what has been also said by Rousseau actually, when he was talking about inequality, where he has confirmed that, and he has clarified, and he made it very clear that this private property, this division of labor, this discrimination over over poor people, discrimination with poor people by the rich ones, and that has created a master and slave type of relationship. And this is all unjusticiable, unacceptable forms of inequality. And he finally he said it we must contest on the issue of inequality, and so inequality must be contested. So this was all about Rousseau's claim, Rousseau's point of view, or Rousseau's concept on inequality. And that's why he says man is born free, but he's everywhere in chains. These are the beautiful remarks, and this is the beautiful jargon or phrase said by a beautiful statement said by Rousseau. Man is born free, but he's everywhere in chains. What are the chains? This private property has created, has been a chain. This human society was becoming more complex, because once the human beings, they started talking about amor propria, which is actually about self desire and pity for others, and then the division of labor, dividing the society between rich and the poor ones, and this has created a master and slave relationship. And finally he said this is all actually unjusticiable. This is unacceptable forms of inequality. Thank you so much for hearing my lecture. See you next time. Bye bye.